Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another very special reading. This is going to be for the Divine Masculines, support for Ascension. We did an unexpected channeling for the Divine Feminines. I was experiencing some difficulty on the journey. I know that some of you were as well. So I wanted to channel some messages a few days ago with regards specifically to the Divine Feminine and their journey, and it was a beautiful and powerful reading. Go ahead and check that out in the description box if you haven't already. But I do want to look into the Divine Masculine as well, because of course you guys are mirrors, and of course both of you have experienced this ascension journey. You've done it in partnership with each other. Now, whether you're aware of that or not, that is actually what is happening. Divine Masculines are doing it in partnership with the Divine Feminines and vice versa, at least from the higher energetic level. For some, you've been doing it in partnership in the physical as well. It depends on how your journey has unfolded. But this is the sacred union path of ascension, wherein you are working with a partner who expresses that polarity, and you are on the journey of evolution, expansion, and essentially love together. Or I should say through the energy of love together. That expansion, that evolution of the soul is occurring through the energy of divine love. Love through the lens of God. Unconditional love. Love that has not been experienced as we know it in the past because of conditioning and programming and trauma and pain. And that's where this journey can get a little bit difficult, a little bit triggering, because your partner is showing you where the wounds are, where the holes are to your own wholeness, where the pain is still persisting. And where there's pain, as we had channeled before, the pain is a pattern that is showing you where you are needing more love. Pain is just a pathway for more love. So we're going to get into the Divine Masculine and see what do they need to know for support on their journey. I'm going to start with some tarot. I only did oracle cards for the Divine Feminine. No, I'm going to use, interestingly enough, I'm going to use the unicorn deck that they're calling me to. So let's see, what do we need to know for the Divine Masculine? This has not been a easy journey for either counterpart. Now, it doesn't have to be difficult. But especially for this wave of the collective that I channel for, you guys really are leading the way to a new understanding of what partnership relationship is all about, what healthy partnership and relationship is all about. And that's where it can get a little bit difficult because there is no blueprint. There is no way of understanding this except for your own experience, except through your own journey, except for opening your heart and allowing yourself to receive that divine wisdom and the divine guidance of your own soul. Divine Masculines are really beginning to understand that, learning how to trust within their heart space and express within their heart space rather than just relying on their ego mind and the physical 3D as guidance for them. Divine Feminines have been on this journey learning about trusting their intuition, and for many of them, their journey has been very much focused internally, wherein the 3D experience doesn't match what they're feeling energetically, and so they've had to rely on the energetics. They've had to rely on their intuition, what their heart is telling them. For example, if they're Divine Masculine, now remember, the Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine, you are partners to each other. You are mirrors of each other. You are the embodied energy of each other. So you have both energies within you. Divine Feminine, your masculine, your outer masculine is the embodiment of the inner masculine you hold within. Divine Masculine, your embodied feminine is the energy that you hold within of your feminine energy. And as you heal your own polarities, as you heal your inner masculine and your inner feminine, you are working together to essentially grow, expand, and evolve together within the physical embodiments. I go into that in the Twin Flame Truths workshop, which will be available at the end of the week as the replay. I go into that in all of my teaching, so make sure that you're checking that out if you are not understanding that now. But the thing is, and the thing to remember, is that you're always growing, evolving, expanding, and healing together, and that healing is a remembering of the truth of yourself, the truth of your soul. And so what you're experiencing is the recognition of each other. So, for example, for the divine feminine, she's experiencing her divine masculine outside as another physical person, as a partner. If that person is, holding up their hand and saying, no, I don't want a relationship, or let's just be friends, or, whatever it is that we tend to hear as divine feminines on this journey, but internally her heart is telling her that there is so much love between you guys, and she's experiencing different phenomena. She's experiencing connection. She's experiencing even union. She's experiencing soul merge. She's experiencing so much. She's listening to her heart's truth versus what the physical is saying to her. Now, there has to be this point of acceptance, which is what can be very difficult, accepting of the physical reality as it is now, while balancing that out with trusting her inner intuition, her inner knowing. So that's where it's been really difficult for the divine feminine. She's had to learn to listen to her intuition and trust her intuition versus what the physical is telling her or not telling her, while balancing all that out with acceptance. The divine masculine kind of approaches it from a different angle. They are learning too how to trust their intuition, but from a different space. They have been so much in their overthinking, logical and rational mind. That is the masculine energy. That is the mind space. But they're learning how to trust their heart as well. Learning how to dive into the feminine energy of emotion and express that emotion, which had been so suppressed. So both counterparts are kind of and also I'm hearing learning how to honor that expression, learning how to trust what's in their heart. So you guys are experiencing the same thing, just from different kind of angles. But it is the mirror effect. It is the same kind of energy where you're both learning how to trust and express your heart, rather than what is in the physical 3D world, while also balancing that out with acceptance, where you need to be on your journey, allowing the journey to unfold, allowing the journey to just be. So it's really it's interesting energy. It's difficult for both counterparts, or I should say it can be difficult for both counterparts, because it's all about releasing the ego or healing the ego and allowing the soul self to step forward in many different ways. For divine feminines, again, I can speak more to the divine feminine. It is about trusting the heart, trusting the soul, trusting her intuition. For the divine masculine, it's allowing them to feel into their intuition, trusting from a different state, where they are allowing themselves to express their emotions. They're allowing themselves to feel into their heart space, where they had been very much in their mind and just letting their mind rule them. So both needing to trust and have faith from different kind of angles and different kind of places. Okay, so let's see what the divine masculine and the divine feminine kind of have in store here. It's interesting energy here. What I'm getting is this... What I'm getting is this recognition of the divine feminine, and that's kind of like what we're talking about. It's this recognition of the divine feminine energy within the masculine. That is the pivotal part of their journey, because they have been almost held back in so much toxic masculine or patriarchal energy, which was that false paradigm of masculine energy. It was the unconscious masculine, control, corruption, too much focus on the physical, by which I mean thinking that physical success or prosperity or financials or relationship in the physical was all there is. Really understanding that soul connection is deeper, love is deeper, communication with regards to expression of your soul self is deeper. That is actually what brings forth that abundance, brings forth that success, brings forth that prosperity. It's really connecting to the heart. For so long, the unconscious masculine had been disconnected from their own heart because they had been disconnected from the feminine energy. So by connecting to the feminine energy, they are allowing themselves to come into fullness of being. A very interesting phrase there, fullness of being. That's part of their growth. That's part of their expansion. For the divine feminines, she had to allow herself, if she has especially been in an over-masculinated energy, she had to allow herself to trust and feel safe within the masculine energy. For a lot of feminine, she had to shut herself down from feminine energy in order to provide for herself and feel safe within herself, because she didn't feel like she could feel safe with any outside masculine energies. And so she took on that role for herself. And so part of her journey is allowing herself to ease back into her feminine energy and trusting the masculine within herself, thus trusting her outer masculine, her masculine embodied partner. Same thing for the divine masculine. They're coming at it from a different angle, you see. They're coming at it from a place of allowing themselves to feel into their heart space, love, honor, and cherish the feminine energy so that they can rise as the masculine, so they can grow as the conscious masculine in order to give, in order to provide, in order to take a leadership for the feminine, in order to allow her to feel safe, in order to allow her to feel secure. It's not just about the feminine, understand. This is about both polarities coming into wholeness, coming into understanding, and that's where you have a healthy partnership. So for the masculine, their natural state of being is wanting to give and wanting to provide. Divine feminine didn't always feel safe to receive that, but as she's trusting more and more of the divine masculine, she's allowing herself to receive and feel safe in that, but only if the masculine is in his presence, consistency, his conscious state of being. And that's where the beautiful harmony grows between the two. So the divine masculine is really learning about themselves at this time and really growing in, who am I as a conscious divine masculine? Who do I want to be in regards to expressing my soul self, expressing the truth of myself, where I'm not holding myself back or keeping myself trapped in the confines of these boxes that society had put me into. Masculine energy needs to feel free and wants to feel free, and divine feminine energy allows for that space and allows for that freedom, but at the same time she wants to feel loved, and so that's where you provide for each other. The divine feminine energy offers divine masculine that freedom, and the divine masculine offers the divine feminine that love, allows her to fill up on that love. And when you have both, that's where that love just continues to expand and grow, because true love is free. Now, that's not with regards to commitment or monogamy or loyalty. We're talking in regards to the context of a whole. You can have freedom within commitment, and that's what a conscious masculine really understands as well. You can have love where there is freedom. That's what the divine feminine is truly understanding by having released a lot of that attachment and a lot of that need. So this isn't with regards to commitment or non-commitment. This is in regards to the context of the power of the divine masculine and the divine feminine as a whole. So the divine masculine is allowing themselves to go through this inner transformation, where before they had resisted this, there was stubborn energy because they were holding on so much to the version of themselves that they had known and what society was telling them, what society was expecting of them. But as they're continuing on this ascension journey, they're allowing themselves to grow, they're allowing themselves to expand, they're allowing themselves to evolve, especially when it comes to feeling into their heart space, trusting their emotions, and trusting their soul self to navigate and guide them, rather than just solely focused on the mind, which is planning, which is structure. That's necessary. That is the gift of the divine masculine. They provide that structure, they provide that discipline, they provide that planning. That's the leadership and the authority of the divine masculine, but they're learning how to do that in balance with the heart space, allowing the heart to kind of navigate them to those areas of their lives where the masculine can take root. Let me give you guys an example of what they're giving me. It's like the divine masculine, for example, or if we're talking about in like a romantic setting, they're going to give me two examples. If we're talking about a romantic setting, the divine masculine actually wants to give to the divine feminine, so he'll plan dates and he will plan outings and create that structure for the divine feminine. It's not very rigid, it's flexible. That's where he trusts the feminine energy within him to kind of navigate this and plan this. It's not so rigid. It's like, let's do this today. And the divine feminine allows and receives, but together you go with the flexibility of and the adaptability and the adventure of the day, for example. So it's not so rigid, it's not so contained, but it's still within that container of leadership. Hope that makes sense. Let's give another example. In their life overall, the masculine energy will trust in their path, know that they have a path that is aligned to them, but allowing themselves to be in the energy of the feminine, or balanced energy of the feminine, they understand that they have to trust where that is going. So their mind is saying, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z, but their feminine energy says, it could take different detours. What they're actually showing me to explain this is like a road. So say you have to get from point A to point B. The masculine energy says, okay, here's what I'm going to do to get from point A to point B. That's the mind, right? That's the planning. That's the structure. But when they're in balance with their feminine energy, they allow for detours to take place. They allow for that flexibility. They allow for that flowing energy. Similar to the divine feminine, who is more of a flowing energy, more of a, or I don't want to say relaxed energy, but yeah, it's more of a relaxed energy, but she's still letting her mind say, I need to get from point A to point B. Let's see what route this takes us in. So it's really interesting energy, how it's all balanced out. What I love about this, it says, take baby steps as you grow, be willing to learn. That is the divine masculine that is growing, transforming, where they're recognizing that they have to trust their inner intuition. They have to trust the guidance of the feminine energy, because otherwise they're getting themselves trapped in their mind, in essence. They're getting themselves trapped in just the intellect. So divine masculines are really learning how to balance out the intellect or the mind with the intuition or the soul. And that's where that beautiful inner union is coming from. And I feel like we're at this point in the ascension journey where both counterparts are experiencing that inner union. And from that inner union comes so much transformation, evolution, expansion, and growth. Okay, tell me more for the divine masculine, please. I'm also getting this energy of this is like the oversoul that is watching or guiding the divine masculine to become the conscious masculine. It's almost like this baby steps energy, allowing them to take baby steps, but also asking them to trust in the divine guidance of their higher self, to guide them to where they need to be, to guide them away from danger, to guide them through this growth process. So learning how to trust and truly embody the higher self as well. I'm getting this energy of the divine masculine really wants to speak of their experience, wants to share their own experience and knowledge with the world. And that's a really beautiful energy. As I was channeling for the divine feminine, I was getting this release of a blockage that was traveling up through the chakra systems. And what I'm getting now is that's being released through the throat chakra, especially for the masculine energy, where they're now truly wanting to share their experiences, they're wanting to share their wisdom, they're wanting to share their own magic. And that's beautiful because for so long that expression and that communication was suppressed for a number of different reasons, but mostly because of systemic trauma or personal pain. Both. It depends on how it resonates for the collective. But now there's this desire to really open up and share in full consciousness their journeys, their experiences, and help towards their mission. I feel like this divine masculine energy is really being guided towards their mission and wanting to express their journey, wanting to express themselves, which is really, really beautiful. This could be wanting to express to the collective, or wanting to just express to people who are closest to them, this is what I've been through, this has been my journey, and this is what I have learned from it, this is the guidance that I have to share from it. But it's not coming from an ego place, which can sometimes be an ego trap. This is coming from a real desire for service, a real desire to share, a real desire for connection. which is making it really beautiful. There's this opening up of the throat chakra where they had been really holding themselves back, and I feel like that's part of this growth that they're experiencing. And that's the balance of the feminine and the masculine. That's the wholeness. That's the inner union. Because again, feminine energy is very self-expressive, and that's the part that the divine masculines had held themselves back from. And in essence, that's what kept them from being the conscious masculine. If they were denying their own feminine energy, then they were denying a huge aspect of themselves that was keeping them from truly becoming conscious. They could have seemed like they were conscious or awakened, so to speak, in the mind space through their intellect, but there was a missing piece. It was the soul self wanting to express itself, wanting to be its authentic self. And through trusting the feminine energy and honoring the feminine energy, they're coming into that union and coming into that wholeness. It's like the piece of the puzzle, the missing piece of the puzzle that they had felt disconnected from their whole life is now being put into place in a beautiful, beautiful energy here. And they're wanting to kind of step forward. This is conscious masculine energy, the rise of the conscious masculine energy. All right, tell me what we need to know for the divine masculine. Gentleness. Oh, I love that. Be kind to yourself and others. Honor your gentleness. Speak words of love. I love this because this is confirmation that speaking, allowing yourself to communicate in the energy of love, in the energy of self-expression, but that self-expression is love because it's coming from the heart, because it's coming from the soul, because it's coming from the divine feminine energy, which is love. In the past, I feel like they had been so locked in their minds, and when they spoke, it was like from their minds, from their ego self. They might not have recognized it as ego, but it was not coming from the heart. You can feel the difference, you can hear the difference when something is of the mind and when something is of the heart. This is discernment as well, discerning what is true. Truth is the soul. Truth is the heart. And when you speak that truth, no matter how it is, how difficult that truth might be, there's always the energy of love behind it when it's coming from the soul, when it's coming from the heart. That's not always the case with the ego mind, especially. So I love this energy because it really feels like that's being unlocked or unblocked. Be kind to yourself and others. This is them honoring the feminine energy within themselves and learning to trust the feminine energy within themselves, because that feminine energy, as wild as it can be, as kind of chaotic as it can sometimes be, that's where the masculine energy holds the feminine, because that's where the balance comes in. It's allowing that loving energy to come through. Masculine energy is beautiful. It is powerful. It is magical. It is the structure, the discipline, the leadership, the authority that allows feminine energy to flow. And the power that exists in the masculine energy to be able to allow the feminine energy to flow is just, I don't have any words for it. I don't have any words for it. It's beautiful. That's where the divine feminine can truly feel safe and secure. Masculine energy, I just keep getting this image of King Arthur. Masculine energy is that Arthur energy. It is intuitive and insightful in its own right because it's in touch and honoring of the feminine energy within. But it's also powerful. It is a warrior. It is the magician that helps to create, that helps to anchor in the creation energy. Feminine energy cannot thrive and flow and even exist without the masculine. That warrior energy, that protector energy, that provider energy, that safety, that security, that just love, that pure warrior love is what is needed on this planet. And for so long, masculine energy was confused with toxicity, control, greed, self-service. And now it's understanding that the feminine and the masculine coexist and co-create in beautiful, harmonious, and balanced partnership. That warrior energy is needed, is wanted, especially when it comes to the divine feminine. It's beautiful. What else do we need to know for the divine masculine for their ascension journey, please, Spirit? Courage. Yes, this is that divine masculine energy. It's that warrior energy. It is that safety. It is that, it says you are safe, fear is illusion, set strong boundaries. That is the masculine energy. The masculine energy is one that sets boundaries, and boundaries isn't a guard. It isn't a fortress that keeps people out. It says this is how we can honor each other. This is how we can love one another in healthy connection, in healthy communication, in healthy unity. This is how, it's like that's the structure. I talk a lot about the masculine being the container for the feminine energy, and the feminine energy can be pretty chaotic, but that's where they hold space. The masculine energy holds the feminine. And that's not to say that, especially when you're talking about partnership, we're talking about the individual masculine and feminine right now, but when you're in partnership, you hold that space for each other. It doesn't say that the masculine has to be rigid. In fact, that's the opposite of conscious masculine energy. Conscious masculine energy feels their emotions, and that's when the divine feminine can hold that space and hold that container for the masculine. But when the masculine is in their core essence, leading from that place of who they truly authentically are. Speaking of the embodied masculine energy here now, then that is part of their mission. That is part of why they are here. And that courage is that warrior kind of energy. I feel as if we're at a point in time where that conscious masculine is truly rising in their strength, in their awareness, and in their courage. I'm using the Goddesses, Angels, Gods, and Goddesses deck. I was called to this for the Divine Feminine reading. I'm using this again for the Divine Masculine. What do we need to know for the Divine Masculine at this time? What do we need to know for the Divine Masculine at this time? Goddess of Compassion. Self-criticism is diminishing your sense of self-worth. For a long time, the Divine Masculine was working through self-worth issues, where whenever they looked in the mirror, especially when they looked at their embodied Divine Feminine, they didn't see themselves as worthy, or they saw themselves somewhat as lacking. And a lot of that was because, again, that suppressed feminine energy within them. A lot of that came from society or from their own trauma or experiences with distorted feminine energies in the past. This could be family dynamics, mother figures, sisters, friends, or romantic relationships that were in a very distorted kind of feminine energy. But through this journey, they have accessed the divine or conscious feminine, especially as activated by their embodied feminine counterpart if you're in a sacred union kind of partnership. And so they have been accessing the love and compassion and worth within themselves. And that's part of the rise of the masculine energy, is recognizing that they are worthy of being a conscious masculine, that they are worthy of this journey, that they are worthy of evolution, and more importantly, I'm hearing they are worthy of life itself. For so long, so many of them were going through the motions. not having any direction, feeling kind of aimless, and especially when it came to their direction or their purpose. I'm getting two examples. For one example, they were following the expectations of others. For example, maybe a family member wanted them to be a doctor, or wanted them to be a lawyer, or to follow in so-and-so's footsteps or society's footsteps of what was deemed successful. And so they were adhering to those expectations, but there was something in their soul that felt like their purpose was more than that wasn't calling to their very soul. For some, that is part of their purpose, but for others, it was just the expectation that was set up by others that they followed. For others, it's almost like they didn't have any of that drive or any of that ambition or any of that guidance, almost like that creativity, again, the suppression of the feminine energy was sucked dry from them. And so they kind of wandered through life aimless or directionless, but there was always this growing sense of mission within them. And as the feminine energy rises within both examples, they're beginning to understand what it means to trust their intuition as far as following their path. Now, masculine energy takes action, so it's guided action. That's where the balance of the feminine and the masculine comes into play. The feminine energy is the intuition, so they're listening to their feminine energy as far as following their soul's guidance, but the masculine energy is one that takes action, one who proceeds along the path, who proceeds to take steps towards what it is that they want to do. That's the masculine and the feminine balance here. So I feel like for so long that energy had been suppressed in them, and they were just in this energy of lack. I don't know where I want to go. I don't know what I want to do. I feel aimless. I feel ambitionless. I feel purposeless. I feel so self-critical, again, because of society or other people who were criticizing them for whatever it was that they were when they were trusting their intuition, and so they had suppressed the energy within them. But now they are learning how to have that sense of self-compassion, and through that sense of self-compassion and self-love, they're building up their confidence and building up their self-worth, which is guiding them towards their mission, their leadership, their conscious masculine energy. Kuan Yin's energy is here as well with this, and we're going to be channeling Kuan Yin hopefully next week. Tell me more for the Divine Masculine, please. Tell me more for the Divine Masculine. Angel of Manifestation. Like I said, Divine Masculine is a magician. Not in a manipulative way, very much not in a controlling way, but in a way where they access their own inherent power. This is the High Priest energy, which is partner to the High Priestess. But this is them accessing and understanding their own power, but in a very grounded way. So where the feminine energy is High Priestess, where she is very intuitive, where she's very connected to the universe, Divine Masculine is as well through their own inner feminine, but their gift is being able to ground that in the physical, to bring it to the physical. They're bringing me the energy of the date again. So if they're in a romantic physical partnership, they're using their creative energy, their feminine energy, to think of a date night, to think of something really sweet and romantic or whatever it is. And their masculine energy is the one that grounds that in the physical, lets them take the lead and say, I have this planned, let's do this, this, and this. It's not controlling. Controlling would be, we have to do this, this, and this in this order, and there can be no deviation from it, right? This is, you're going to do this no matter what. That's control. That's not conscious masculine energy. Conscious masculine energy is an invitation for the feminine. Let's do this. It's an invitation. That's very sexy to the feminine energy. In an overall energy of life, the masculine energy is the one who trusts and honors the feminine energy within them that says, let's create this business, or let's create this artwork, or let's create this, whatever it is. Let's create, right? The masculine energy takes the lead and says, here are the building blocks in order to create this. Let's take action for this creation. Again, they're rooting it and anchoring it into the physical. So it's interesting to me that this whole reading is about the partnership of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, because I feel like that is exactly what is occurring as the feminine energy rises and is understood and is honored within the masculine energy, the embodied masculine consciousness, then that allows for that masculine energy to rise in consciousness. So it's really, really beautiful. So that's where the Divine Masculine's magic really is. They allow for that creative energy. And when you're in partnership, you're working in partnership. Maybe the Divine Feminine wants to create something, and the Divine Masculine is the one, okay, they're giving me this analogy of building a house. So maybe the Divine Feminine has the idea of the manifestation of what the house will look like. And the Divine Masculine energy is the one that anchors that in and does the building, does the physical building. Now that's a metaphor. It could be, not a metaphor, but that's a metaphor. They anchor that in. But you work together in harmony. And think back to a time when, either with your partner or with somebody else, you felt so harmonious working together. It was the ebb and the flow. It was the give and the take, or the give and the receive. You were exchanging energies in harmony, working together, communicating, communing together in beautiful harmony. That is where the feminine and the masculine energies really work together. And you can see that with whatever example comes to mind about the creation and the anchoring in, the imagination and the building, and how those two parts fit together as one whole to create something magical in the physical world. That's the beauty of the magician. That's the beauty of the Divine Masculine. They help to create that in the physical world. Now, again, take it as it resonates for both you and your sacred partnership with another embodied person, as in two people in physical vessels, two people, and also take that for your inner masculine and your inner feminine energies, because you have both within you as one person. So it gets kind of confusing. Take it as it resonates for you. It gets kind of confusing because, especially if you're in sacred partnership with another person, they are your counterpart. They're your feminine to your masculine, or your masculine to your feminine, but you also have those same energies operating within you as a human being. So you can apply it to your partnership and your relationship, and you can apply it to your own individual life. Divine Masculine, let's get one more card, please. What does Divine Masculine need to know for their ascension journey? They're beginning to recognize their strength, their courage, and their power. And again, it's not corrupt power. It's not that manipulation. It's not that control. It is the power of the conscious masculine. It is the power of the consciousness. It is the power of releasing the ego. And when you release the ego, you recognize the power of the soul. What do we need to know for the Divine Masculine, please? What do we need to know for the Divine Masculine? Beautiful. We have Angel of Communication and Angel of New Life. Communicate clearly. Don't be afraid to tell it like it is. An Angel of New Life, an exciting new chapter in your life is about to unfold. This is what we were talking about. We talked a lot about expression and communication and that throat chakra unblocking, and I feel like that is what is happening at this time for the Divine Masculine, or the conscious masculine, is they are learning how to fully express themselves as themselves. Now, this is not ego. This is not control. This is not manipulation. This is not force. This is not the mind that is telling them or dictating them. This is speaking, communicating from the heart, and that is actually going to give birth to a new light, a new life, because it's like communication creates connection. And that's what's really important for the Divine Masculine to understand. When you're communicating from the heart space, it allows you to bridge divides. It allows you to disperse any separation energy. It allows you to unite with another. Communication, self-expression, expression of the heart, expression of emotions is what bridges the divide and connects us to each other. And what I'm actually seeing is like threads that connect us all to each other, and that comes from the heart space. So it's like the threads of the heart connects us to each other, and the more that you express that kind of love and that emotion, that healthy expression from the heart, the more you give rise to a new version of yourself and a new life. This is allowing yourself to be reborn. Letting go of the past patterns, letting go of the past traumas, experiences, doesn't mean that you don't allow yourself to feel your way through those shifts and those changes and those transformations. It doesn't mean that you deny your past, but it says that you acknowledge that this was a past version of you, this was a past experience, that this was a past pattern, and you allow yourself to shift. You allow yourself to emerge as something new. You allow yourself to do something different. You allow yourself to trust and honor and listen to what the heart is guiding you to. That is what gives birth to this beautiful new version of yourself and this beautiful new life. And that is the rise of the masculine energy. That is what they are ascending into. They are ascending into a new version of themselves. They're ascending into essentially a new life. In that soul merge video, that soul merge channeling, I had shared an experience of a friend and I were doing a healing session, and all of a sudden we were clearing the masculine template. We were clearing timelines, past and future, so that it converged on the present, and all of a sudden I felt my divine masculine come in, his energy come in, and we were anchoring that in, or I was anchoring that in through the root and into the earth grid. And that's what was creating new earth. It was the rise of the masculine template, but it was anchoring in. And what they had given me was that it's going to display itself in the physical over the next couple of weeks and months. We're going to see more of that rising conscious masculine energy display itself, perhaps in more conscious leadership, more heart-centered leadership, or perhaps it was more self-expression. This is going to be on a collective level, a global collective level, and even in your individual journeys, your individual partnerships, however that plays out for you. But it's going to be showing itself in the physical. So new life, a new version of yourself within, but you're going to start seeing that without in your physical world, in the abundance, in the connections that you have, in your mission work or your careers shifting, aligning to this new version of yourself. You're going to see it playing out, that old version of yourself is no longer aligned to the life that you were leading in your physical human experience. And so you're going to, as you shift into higher consciousness, you're going to be experiencing a higher state of being, a higher state of living in your physical human life. And so that's what this feels like. This feels like as the masculine energy is anchoring in to that new conscious way of living, they're going to have better connections, better communication, better relationships, I should say higher level or more conscious connections, new ways of being, new ways of living, new careers, new jobs, whatever this is, it's going to be next level, a new life. Changes might be, I'm hearing it's not going to be overwhelming, so changes might be subtle, but it is going to be change. It is going to be new life. And look, we have Goddess of Oneness. This is what it is all about. It is all about that unity and that oneness and that balance. All right, you guys, I hope that this was helpful. We're going to do these check-ins every once in a while, I think, just to support both counterparts or both energies. Make sure that you're staying tuned for all the updates, as well as the sacred channelings over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections, my sister channel. I'm sending you all so much love and so much light, and we'll see you soon. Bye.